Right, hello lads and lasses, and welcome back to Boys Down Under, where today, as you can tell by the video title, it's a different kind of video today. We are ranking each of Celtic's summer signings. Now this includes the 12 players who have arrived to Celtic since the end of last season, and just as a quick heads up, as you'll see, we are including Liam Shaw into this, even though he was a pre-contract agreement. And there are three key things I'm going to be basing my rankings off, so they will be performances so far, value for money, and then third and finally, the most important one I feel, potential to perform for the club. So, without a further ado, let's get into it. So here you can see we're on tier maker. We've got each player lined up. There's duplicates of every single one except for Cameron Carter-Vickers. Don't ask me why, just glitched out. But let's go in order of how they're ordered. So the first player is Felipe Jota, a player who's only arrived at Celtic in the last few hours. Deadline day signing, he came on loan from Benfica with an option to buy, and I'm pretty sure the option to buy was around £6.5 million. So, obviously we can't rank him because of his performances so far. His value for money, he's here on a whole year loan. If we don't want to buy him, we don't have to, so I think that is obviously value for money. And then third and finally, his potential to improve the club, the team. And Jota, he's a winger. He's an out-and-out winger. He can play at cam, can play as striker, but we're going to be playing him on the wing. And with Christie's departure, I feel he will be starting. I feel it will be him and Abada on the two wings going forward. And I just feel, if you haven't seen his highlights, I say this in every video, you should go and watch him. But I think he's just honestly, I'm putting him into great signing because he absolutely is going to improve this team. He's an absolute world-class, he's got the ability to become a world-class player. He's still young, and I'm very excited to see what he will bring to Celtic Football Club. So, Felipe Jota is a great signing. Next, our other deadline day signing, someone who came in like a couple hours before Jota, is Giorgos Giakoumakis, the Greek striker from the Eredivisie, second tier of Eredivisie, after getting relegated last season. Now, Giakoumakis, he signed on a £2.5 overall million deal for 5 years. So, very, very cheap. Performances so far, obviously, we still can't keep that into consideration. And then potential going forward. Well, I think Kyogo is going to be our starting striker. Unless Giakoumakis can push him out and play impeccably, Kyogo is going to be our number 9. So, see, this is the problem. I don't want to put him in handy to have because I think he's a great signing, but at the same time, I don't think he's going to be starting week in, week out. He'll be coming off the bench as like a backup sort of role or in like the 60th minute to provide that hold-up play because he's got great physicality and great strength. So, but seeing as we do have him for 5 years, anything could happen. I'm putting him in handy to have. He's handy to have for now. Obviously, I think he'll eventually become a great signing. I might do a tier list later on in the year, but for now he is handy to have. Next, Joe Hart. What can I say about him? His performances so far, he's made one mistake in every single game he's played for Celtic, and it didn't even prove to be that costly. Barely at all, to be honest with you. He's been an absolute wall. He's given our defenders and our whole team confidence that if the opposition are going to take a shot, it's not going in the back of the net. Whereas last year, I feel everyone had those doubts. So Joe Hart, I don't even need to say much about him. He came for £1 million, I think it was, from Spurs. Bargain. Keepers can last forever. Joe Hart is a world-class signing. Next up is Croatian international fullback Josip Juranovic. He has only played one game for the club so far in the Glasgow derby. Value for money, I actually can't remember how much we signed him for. £2.5 million, was it? I think it was around that, to £3 million. Obviously, potential to improve the club. We've got Tony Ralston at right back, but he does provide that really solid depth. And as we can see, he can play on the left. He's not as good on the left because of his right foot, but he's still very good. So, Josip Juranovic is going in great signing because we needed that right back depth. If we didn't need the right back depth, he'd probably go in handy to have, but seeing as that and his potential to, back up to Ralston and improve when he comes on, it's just very great. Now it's the interesting one. The man from Japan, Kyogo Furuhashi. What what do I need to say about him? Is there even any point in me saying anything about him? We all know where he's going, so let's just put him in there straight away. Kyogo Furuhashi has been a world-class signing for Celtic Football Club. And I hope more men from Japan will follow him in the coming years. Now, moving on is to the Irishman who only joined the club recently as well, Liam Scales. So Liam actually joined for a very, very cheap fee. He only came for around 600,000 from Shamrock Rovers, so that's very good. I think it's like a 4-year deal because he's only young. And honestly, I think he's a great signing as well, to be honest with you. He might not have played, but the potential he has to improve this team, the height he will provide our team. Going forward, he's an absolute menace for being someone who's so tall. No one can get the ball off him. Obviously, you know, being that tall would come with like agility disadvantages, but it doesn't seem to show in his game. I think he should be our left back going forward ahead of Greg Taylor. So that is why I'm putting him in as a great signing. Next up, another Irishman, James McCarthy. Now, James arrived at the same time as Joe Hart, despite only playing one game for the club so far, and that was a couple minutes off the bench. He's been battling fitness issues, you know. He's getting on. I feel this signing, if he can get fit and get really good, it'll be a great signing for the club. But at the moment, he's only really providing backup as he still is having those problems. I'm sure he's working really hard with the sports science team at Celtic Football Club. So for now, I think he's only handy to have. I'm going to be honest with you. He's handy to have, you know. If he improves, he'll become great, because I think he should be starting with Callum McGregor pushing forward and then Tommy Rogic cam. That's just my opinion. But still, for now, he is handy to have. Okay, next. Now, this was actually the first official signing that Ange Postecoglou made. Osazi Uragiday. I hope I've said that correctly. I'm pretty sure I have. Now, he arrived from Sheffield Wednesday on yet again a very, very cheap fee. His contract was running out there. He hasn't played a single professional or competition match for the club. I don't know how long he's here for. The potential to improve the team, he's stuck behind a lot of players right now. Or is he? I'm not actually too sure what his ranking in the squad is, because he's on the bench a lot, but he never just seems to break through into that starting team. And now with Cameron Carter-Vickers coming in, Look, handy to have. I feel it's a good investment, so I'm not going to say could have invested elsewhere. I was tossing up between that, but he is handy to have. All these signings by Ange, I feel they are all handy to have. It's just a matter of how good they are in that next step up. So Osazi Uragiday is a handy to have player and a handy transfer. Now moving on is actually the first player who came in under Ange Postecoglou, because he was signed to a pre-contract agreement by Neil Lennon way back when, and that is Liam Shaw. Now Liam still has he? I'm pretty sure he hasn't played a game for the club yet in a competition match. And yet again, he's stuck behind so many players in that midfield. He just cannot break. So, yet again, he's a player who's handy to have. We got him for free. It's like, okay, if he gets better in the future, I can see him starting for Celtic, but at the moment, it is what it is. Okay, now this one is going to cause a lot of debate. Now, we are on to Carl Starfelt. A lot of people would want me to put him in pointless or could have invested elsewhere. But here's the problem. When we signed Starfelt, Celtic were lacking. It was going to be Dane Murray and Stephen Walsh, or Stephen Walsh and Nir Baton at centre-back. And we just could not be going with that forward, and we had no better centre-back option. Obviously, Uragiday hadn't proved himself yet, so Starfelt came in at a very crucial time for Celtic. He provided a bit of experience at the back, a bit of normality. Regardless if he does make a few mistakes here and there, still, he's handy to have, because he came in and he did what he had to do for Celtic. Obviously, with new players coming in, Chris Julian returning, he might probably get pushed out of the starting squad. But for what he's done for the club so far, he is a player who's handy to have. He's shown that we can put faith in him if ever needs be. And for now, that is a time where we need to, because we have no other better options, except for Cameron Carter-Vickers, and we'll get on to him in a bit. So, the player second last we're going to talk about is none other than Liel Abada, 19 years old. Mental. His performances for the club so far have been absolutely mental. The only down game he's had was against the Gers in the Glasgow derby, and you know what? It's expected he can have an off game. Abada is going to be world class, 100%. He is world class signing. I cannot believe we found a gem. He is a diamond in the rough that we have found in Israel. I'm so happy he's came to our club. I feel he's going to go to England in the next few years, but while we have him at Celtic, world-class signing. He's absolutely rejuvenated our wingers. Well, he is a winger, so that's what I mean, but he's actually going forward and he's attacking players. It's just mental. His value for money as well. I know because we don't even need to touch on that. It was £3.5 million. Bargain. Absolute bargain for a player of his quality. I'm loving it. All the fans are loving it. Liel Abada is world class. Now, finally, the man who came into Celtic like 2 minutes before the deadline ended, Cameron Carter-Vickers. Now, he's actually came on loan from Tottenham Hotspur, and we have the option to buy at the end of the year. I don't know how much that is worth, but still, obviously, he's been not very in favour at Spurs for the past like 5 years. He's actually been sent on loan. He's very young still. He's only 23, despite looking like 27, 28. No offense, Cameron. But, you know, I'm going to say Cameron Carter-Vickers, he's going to be either our new centre-back instead of Starfelt, or he's going to be the backup and push Uragiday off the bench. He's handy to have. He's handy to have because we've also Chris Julian returning. You know, now, we do have a lot of players who are in the handy to have spot. Now, that is the point of the rebuild. Right now, they only seem like they're handy to have, but I can guarantee going in the future, if I make another tier list on these exact same signings, there'll be so many more in great signing. World class. I'm sure Jota will prove to be world class eventually. I'm sure Liam Scales will prove to be world class eventually. Giakoumakis probably going to great signing. McCarthy, yeah. You know, this is just rating them as of now. So that is my tier list. I'm leaving it up. You can have a look at it. Obviously, if you disagree, put that in the comments below. I want to see what everyone's opinions on these deals are. But yeah, we're heading into an international break now. The content will not stop. I'll try and keep it a mix between maybe Celtic content and Celtic players doing their international business, seeing how they're going, injuries, updates, whatnot. But yeah, that is all from me. So until next time, hail, hail.